Welcome to Sam's Russian Adventures. Today I'm going to walk around this local area right here and we're going to talk about why Russians laugh at the problems facing the West. Let's go. This is an interesting area. It's kind of like a mixture of old buildings built in the 90s and then kind of like Soviet area or Soviet era buildings as well. And I'm not quite sure what's going on here with this kind of walk area here. It's not exactly a road, it's not a footpath, it's just kind of like a bit of wasteland. And that's because a brand new road was built over there, and this is kind of like what's left after the brand new road was built. I guess something will end up here, I don't know what, but something. So the main reason that Russians laugh at the problems facing the West is simply because it's all self-inflicted. And I'm going to talk a bit more about this as to what I mean by that. But there was a time, in fact, only a few months ago, when I was thinking how I'd really quite fancy going back to the UK for 6 months and perhaps living there for 6 months, because I haven't lived there for ages, right? I'm a dual citizen. I thought, perhaps I'll go there, give it a try, move back there for, a few months. And then I started just kind of like researching more and more about what life's like back there. Obviously, I've got 3 really close friends who send me stuff all the time. And I thought that those people were just sending me kind of like the random event that happened that's crazy. And my 2 best friends back in the UK, 2 of them are Indian, 1 of them is black, and they're kind of like 2nd generation. So their parents moved here from other countries and then they were born in the UK. And I just thought, right, these are kind of like isolated incidents that they send me, some random stuff. But the more that I view stuff, the more that I realize that these random incidents are not so random. The amount of times we've seen like people getting assaulted on the street, or the amount of times we're seeing people saying that, look, we've come here, this is our country, and we're going to do what we want, we don't care about you. Or the nighttime patrols of people of a certain religion going and telling other people that they don't want them to behave or dress like that when it's England, right? Or the amount of times that people walk into shops and just steal stuff and walk back out again. The amount of people that get arrested for crazy random things. And I know loads of people say in the UK, well, it's not like Russia. In Russia, you get arrested for protesting or for doing things like, and they're protesting the war, which the reason that you get arrested for that is because there's a law that says you should not discredit the armed forces during a time of conflict. And so the government has decided what is best for Russia, and we should support that. Once it's over, maybe people will be protesting. But in the UK, well, different story, right? Completely different story. You literally get arrested for saying the most random things. I saw one guy got arrested for calling someone a muppet. For calling someone a muppet. That's insane. I saw another guy, yeah, he was joking. He shouted over the fence to a Muslim guy that we like bacon or something. I like bacon, he said. And he got arrested for that. And I just think, wow. Because then you see people from other sides saying and doing things and not getting arrested. And I've seen old women getting arrested, literally grandmas, like your nana would say, your nanny, your grandma, being arrested for just random little things like posts online or stuff like that. Just crazy stuff that in the past, this is almost like from the movie 1984, from the book 1984, right? But now it's just seems like an everyday occurrence in the UK. And how do Russian people feel about this? Well, they just think of it as being completely self-inflicted. It's like, you jump off your balcony and graze your leg. And then you complain that, well, I grazed my leg. Well, of course you did. You did that yourself. And the problems that are facing Europe and the UK are self-inflicted. They're basically, the problems are because you allow it to happen. And not only do you allow it to happen, but at the same time, the government allows it to happen. In fact, it is promoted. That's probably the worst thing. This is something I'm going to make a video on, another topic on another video, but it's almost promoted. You are almost like ashamed of your culture, ashamed of your traditions, ashamed of things, and you're apologetic. You allow people to do things. Now, perhaps the people are not allowing this to happen, but it seems like from the top down, it's being, what's the word, trained. I bet people are trained to feel or to behave like that, because you're not allowed to have an opinion which goes against the opinion of the people in charge, which is pretty scary and pretty shocking. Imagine, it feels like I'm talking about the Soviet Union, but we're not talking about the Soviet Union. We're talking about Europe and the UK now. Just examples of this. I've seen these situations where people are walking into shops and stealing stuff. What do the security guards do? Nothing. They can't do anything, because if they get involved, that's going to be a scandal, right? So they just let it happen. And there's so many instances of people letting stuff happen. You see people getting attacked and other people are just standing by filming it. People are just sitting in the seats on the bus next to it. Why? They don't want to get involved. They don't want to have a problem. Someone is being attacked, yet they don't want to get involved. There's an example of the lady that died, right? A lady died, she was attacked on the bus, no one got involved. Now, I think if it was the other way around, then someone would get involved. But you're basically allowing these things to happen. You're allowing people to come to the country. You're giving them everything that they want. When they say that, you know, this is what we're going to do to your country, we don't want to live by your rules, we're going to do the things that we're going to do and we don't care about you. What happens? Nothing. It just continues. And that's why the Russian people are not sympathetic at all to what's going on. They're shocked that Britain and Europe have no backbone at all. They just let these people walk all over them. Now, I completely agree and completely understand from the side of an immigrant. If I was from a country that life was shit, I'd move to where life was good. Of course you would. But if you just look at me, I love Russia and I've come to Russia, but I love everything about Russia. I want to, blimey, that gave me a shock. I want to, you know, be accepted by the Russian people. I want to learn the customs, the culture, the language of Russia, the country that I've moved to. Not just come here and do what I want. And I think it started with woke culture. Perhaps it started with, in fact, what's the word I'm looking for? Not woke culture, something else. What's the word, guys? Let me know. It's not equality, it's something else. Blimey. Political correctness is the word I'm looking for. And basically, political correctness then brought in wokeness, which then we have the full kind of like different pronouns and all of that stuff. You get used to that and accepting all of that, and then the kind of nonsense that goes along with that. And then, you know, you're just on a slippery slope. And that's why Russia just looks and like almost laughs, because it's just stupid. Being forced to accept things that you know are stupid. You know, when your government lies, right? Blatantly lies. It's like someone eats a chocolate cake. It's your chocolate cake. They eat it. You can see that they've got chocolate all around their mouths. You accuse them of eating the chocolate cake, and then you're in trouble for accusing. Right? That's what happens in the UK. That is what life in the UK is like now. Now, a lot of people are going to say, these are just individual moments. These are just individual things that happen. But I don't believe that. These things are happening more and more and more and more. And obviously it's the, you know, it's incidences like the, you know, the shocking moments that make the news. I completely understand that. But those things, they shouldn't really happen at all. And it's kind of embarrassing, right? Now, I could go on and talk about the problems in the UK and the things that I think are crazy, but in fact, I can't, because if I talk about those things, then the chances are that I could be in a world of trouble for even talking about them, right? Because we're not allowed to talk about them openly. We're not allowed online to say, this is crazy, or that group of people are mad, or we're not allowed to have that opinion. It's not allowed anymore. How crazy is that, right? That's just mental. That we're allowed to do crazy stuff. A person can say that they're a dog, right? And they can walk around being a dog every day, but we're not allowed to say that it's crazy. Otherwise, like, we're in a world of trouble. Now, of course, there's certain things you can't say or do in many places around the world. But it used to be that the things you can't say or do were basically obvious, right? Whereas now, the fact that you're not allowed to criticise in the UK things that are blatantly, obviously wrong, or you find yourself in a world of trouble, makes me think that if I go back to the UK, I'm going to get myself in crazy amounts of trouble, because my filter has changed, right? My mindset has completely changed. I live here, so I haven't been conditioned to accept the types of stuff that the people in the UK and the people in Europe have been conditioned to accept. It's like anything. You don't actually really notice it over time, the amount of conditioning that goes on. But the Russian people just look at that and think, but it's your fault. It's completely your fault. It was obvious that that is what was going to happen. It's obvious now that when people behave in a completely unrealistic way, something that's almost like childish, and it's accepted and it's allowed, and people just keep pushing the boundaries, pushing the limits, right? It's like, you know, when you've got a babysitter, right, and you're a kid, and you know you're supposed to be in bed by 7, but you say to them, you know, I'm going to stay up till 7:15, is that okay? And then, you know, 7:30, and then you know, at 7:30 you find a way to stay up till 8, and you just keep pushing the boundaries, right? Just keep pushing the boundaries until it becomes kind of okay. That's what it's like in the UK. People are pushing those boundaries, and just everything's like, well, okay, yeah, we accept it, yeah, it's fine, yeah, you know, don't worry about it, yeah, that's okay, that's okay. And it's got to the point now where the shocking behaviour of groups of people and certain individuals, and just not even just individuals, but lots of people, has now become normal. And Russian people see that shit, and you know, I've lived in Russia for a long time. I'm a Russian citizen now. Mindset's completely changed. I see that shit as well. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. But in the UK, it's not crazy. In the UK, it's just another day, just another thing. And so Russian people just want to say to the UK, grow some balls. Do something about your problems. You know, we have problems in Russia too. But the difference is that Russia supports its culture, its customs, its country, what it stands for. And so they don't let people behave in a different way, otherwise it's go. Now, this isn't my typical video that I, tend to make, talking about things like this, but I just had to get it off my mind because I'm so sorry for how things are changing. And I think, you know, 50 years time, obviously I'm not going to be here, but I can't imagine what the UK is going to be like. It is going to be mental. Like, I think Europe and the UK, they're gone. I think they're finished. What do you think? Let me know in the comments if you live in Europe, if you live in the UK, what you think. I know a lot of people, depending on where you live, you're sheltered from a lot of the things that go on. And then also, if you don't search for things, you don't find. Look at this contrast. Interesting, right? We've got these few houses here, and then these big high rises behind them. It must be strange living here like that. I mean, I guess at one point, all of this was these houses, but knocked down, redeveloped, progress, and yeah. It's interesting that this looks like it could be in a little village, and you have no idea unless you saw those huge high rises behind, right? And look at this village house. It's very nice, isn't it? The colours and the garden and the vegetables all being grown there. And then you turn around and you've got these huge high-rise apartments going back as far as the eye can see. I wish I could just be one of those people that just watches the TV, believes everything that you see on the TV, doesn't search for information, doesn't search stuff out, doesn't get sent things by people, and just lives that amazing life of just bliss by thinking that the world is the way it is as it's shown on the TV. There's so many people like that out there, and I'm so jealous of them because they have no idea really about the rest of the world, what's going on. They just watch that collection of news at the end of the day and think that that is a collection with no agenda, no reasoning to it. It's just a TV company has gathered a collection of the day's information as to what's happening around the world, shown on TV, and that's it. And that's a great blissful way to live. And I wish I could live like that. Okay, rant over. See you in the next video.